Okay, we're just gonna do a quick video update where you guys tell me what you're up to, because I'm...
Oh, you don't have no questions?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you already had questions.
No, I just want to just do like get back in and just see what have you guys been doing and what do you think it's important for the county to know that you've been up to?
No, we got to that one yet. Are you recording?
Yes.
There you
And if you're watching this video, I'm Echo Menges for the Edina Sentinel. You can't see me, but on the right is Bill Wiles, who is the Western District Commissioner for Knox County, and in the center, or on the left, is Les Cardwell, and he is the presiding commissioner for Knox County, and who would be seated on the left, John Greenlee, is not in session today. He's busy in the field with harvest.
Let's start out with on the rock hauling. That's progressing. With all the FEMA rock we had to haul, they've still got a lot of rock to haul yet this year, but they're coming along pretty good with that.
How far along are you, like percentage wise? Are you 50%?
We're into the middle. We're ahead of our goal already. The southern third of the county was supposed to be spread this year. We're trying to get it where we're rocking half the county a year, and we're working towards that goal. I don't know if we're going to accomplish it, but we're going to be really close to getting all the FEMA rock plus one half of the county spread, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty remarkable.
So the whole southern half is done.
The southern third is completed, and now they're working on what we would call the middle third, but trying to get half the county rocked this year. And like I said, when you add in all the FEMA rock that got hauled this year too, they've hauled a tremendous amount of rock already, but it's going to be close to where they get a full half of the county plus FEMA or not, but they're coming along pretty cool with it.
Is the weather helping? You know, we've had an unseasonably warm fall so far.
Yeah, we've been fortunate this year not to have washouts or a bunch of unexpected road damages that took up a lot of time. One of the things that's accomplished is we've already installed all the tubes all the smaller tubes that we had budgeted. We installed those. We've had to order more road tubes because we're well ahead of schedule on installing road tubes that needed to be repaired too. So county guys out there, we got a good crew. They seem to be coming along.
You guys were hiring for Road and Bridge before I left. Did you guys get all your positions filled that you needed?
We did, but we've also had one quit, but we're going into fall and winter, so we certainly appreciate what he was able to do for us when he was here. Through those summer months is when we need the most help. Going to the winter months, it gets a little slow. We're working on,
But we hired 2 new employees at that time, and both are still working full time.
Okay.
Sorry.
MoDOT got done with the bridge inspections. MoDOT's been working in the county doing bridge inspections to rate our bridges. We know we've got some poor bridges. We've got applications to try to get funding to replace bridges. Well, that's the roll of the dice, and of course with everything that's going on in DC right now, that's federal money, and who knows what will happen there. But we've got applications in to replace 4 bridges.
Which ones?
I knew you would ask that. One south is Gene Small Engines. One's the small one at Bishop Bridge. The bridge at what I call Preby Bottom. And where's the 4th one? I'm drawing a blank right now, but there's 4 bridges we have on an application to be replaced. And then we've got other bridges that we're going to be working on as well. We're waiting on the bridge inspection report to come back to tell us what's a priority. And once we know the priorities, then we'll commence on those bridges.
So where you're at right now is the inspections have been completed and you're waiting on the report.
Yes.
Okay. And then once we get that, maybe we'll sit down with a map and you guys will just point it out, all the different bridges to me, like, and maybe we can number them and I can build a graphic or something for the paper.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
And then whether we get the money or not, our budget's gonna allow us to, as we get more debt paid off, we're gonna have more money to work on projects like bridges. And so whether we get the grant or not, we'll be working on bridges and culverts next year. We're looking at some box culverts, different ways to replace some bridges, that we'll be able to fund whether we get the grant or not. If we get federal money to help build these bridges, we obviously want to. If we don't, we still got the ability to tackle some of these.
Excellent.
We started a spreadsheet for our road and bridge department where we can enter projects. They're checking the projects off of the spreadsheet. It's something we just started, but it seems to be having pretty good results.
Yeah.
We can see the progress, they can see what's expected of them to do. When we get a complaint on a road or whatever, we enter it on the spreadsheet. They can go to the spreadsheet, see what needs to be done, go inspect it, and develop a plan. It also gives us a timeline of when that project was reported and when it got completed, so we can see that we're moving through the projects in a
Timely
reasonable
manner.
way to get them done. And if we see one that's held up on the timeline, then we can find out what's holding it up. If it's something we can do to move it off center to get it to happen. And so, it seems like we're making progress.
Yeah, it seems like it's helping for all the communications between us and the road and bridge as far as keeping them distinct because we get calls from people and Chris might get a call from somebody and then you're on the road or whatever, so we can all have it in a spreadsheet and we're all on the same page. We all know what needs to be done, or we're all, when somebody calls and says, hey, I talked to you a while ago, why, we've put on there, hasn't it got done, well, we're waiting on this, or he's got some stuff is big right that you have to wait on. So it's helping for us to be able to communicate with the residents as well of how things are and where they're at, and it just streamlining it and trying to make it, as well as giving the road and bridge a little accountability and being able for us to be able to see what is actually being done and in, like I said, in a timely fashion.
And everybody's everybody's up to speed with exactly what's going on when it's going on. It's not where you don't know until you show up here or have a meeting.
Exactly. Or until you hear about it from somebody else or however it works, yeah.
What software are you guys using?
It's Google Docs.
That's what we use we do the same thing to keep.
Trying to that's like a to-do list, keeps it going all
so
the time.
everybody knows like what's done, what needs to get done. We Google Docs, we rely on that a lot.
Spent many hours getting it all lined out and then we kind of go through it and have a little, John and I might have had an idea different or something, and he'd work for a little bit more and then come back and what do you think of this? And he's worked very hard on it with less.
But it's nice to have that document that like everyone can have their fingers in and see what's happening all at the same time.
Yes. And then we're talking about putting maybe a screen up out at Road and Bridge on the wall that'll be linked to the list to where they, the supervisor would be the one that could actually do anything type wise, but it's open for the other guys so that way if he's not there or whatever, and then they can look at the screen themselves and be like, hey, I can go do that instead of, or we're really hoping it'll help for plans so that we're making more of a plan. We're not sending one motor grader out an hour away to do work for 20 minutes on one road. Let's have a list, and that way they can kind of make a plan and say, okay, let's send him over there. He's got a day's worth of work over there, not as cut down as much on the, road time and try to just make it more streamlined, more, it'd be more affordable for all of us in the end,
How did you did somebody give you the idea, or did you stumble upon it? Or
Just something I've been trying to figure out, or we've been trying to figure out since we started. And it was, there's programs out there that'll do it, but they're thousands and thousands of dollars. And so, and then the other thing about the programs that cost that much is they're very complicated, very time consuming to keep them going. And so this was a way to get it in place, to get us going on something we could all understand, something we could work with, and something that we can tweak. If we want to change it, we can change it right here instead of having to go to whoever built the program.
Yeah, and working with regional planning during our FEMA process, and the lady that does that up there has spreadsheets for everything, you know, and that once we started going through some of that, that ball was clicking, you know, like, hey, this could be used in a lot of ways, and Les works with them a lot, and so then, like I said, Les took it from there, and we kind of all came together, and it's worked out well so far.
We're also working with a company to map our equipment, to show us, to track our equipment, so we'll be able to see where that equipment's been. One of the big advantages to that is going to be like, if we have a snow emergency, we can look on the map and see what roads they've been on and what roads they haven't, so we'll know, just by looking at a map, we'll be able to say, this road, you know, somebody needs to get down there and get this road open, or somebody.
almost like a dispatch,
Yeah.
where you could just have a digital dispatch kind of screen to see where everyone is and if you're getting calls
And where they've been, the historical part of it's about as big as the exact time and moment in time.
Yeah.
Because if you look on that map and if we get a phone call that somebody says the road hasn't been open, we can look and we'll know where that machine's gonna be there in the next 30 minutes, or if we need to dispatch a machine or what, but we'll be able to track the machine, see where they've been, and know if that road's been open. And then some snow events where it's blowing in, we can say, well, they opened it last night at 10 o'clock and it's blowed shut again. So the mapping part will be huge if we can get it in place.
And on the back end of that will be interesting to see the data, because you'll be able to adjust your process by seeing how well things have worked, how often you've had to be there, you know what I mean, and kind of like.
Yeah, if we have places where we're just constantly going, whether it's general road maintenance or snow removal, if we have a washout that we've had that washout, we can tell we spent this many machine hours out there over the last year, then we're gonna go out there and fix that project instead of just keep
Wasting, or spending time.
Yes.
Interesting. That's exciting.
We think it's pretty cool.
So what's the program called, and how
We're
much?
looking at Zonar right now. We've looked at probably 8 or 10 possible programs. The one we're dealing with right now that seems to be as close as we're gonna be able to get to what we want is Zonar.
What's the budget for it?
I think it's $15 a month per machine, so it's very, very affordable.
And do they supply the equipment?
They supply everything.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff that we looked at was extremely expensive, and others were almost so cheap that it was like, this almost feels like something's wrong, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't quite right, but it seems like that you can find a lot of what we want in that range and not spend a lot of money, but yet gain a lot of information that can benefit us a lot in many different ways, or, you know, in the end.
Do you guys have a target time for when you want this to be operational?
Yesterday.
So by winter, maybe?
Yeah, well, they're sending us they're supposed to be sending us one of their pieces of equipment for a test. So hopefully, been working on this for a while. It's been supposed to happen way quicker than it is, but hopefully we'll have one on a machine in the next month or so, and then we'll do that for a test. They're sending us the equipment, we're gonna try it. If it works, we'll keep it and order more. If it don't work, we send it back. All we're out to shipping to send it back. So they're pretty confident in their equipment.
Some of our equipment comes from the factory with tracking services on it. like the motor graders in particular, they're both companies, John Deere, Cat, they have their own mapping system that you can go in and look. I'm not gonna say which one we like better, but there's one that we really liked a lot better than the other one, but yet you can't get that on a Mack truck or on a Ford truck or whatever. So we were trying to look at something that was similar to what we were already used to using for one operation and bringing it into where we can bring all of our stuff together. Even some of them, I don't know exactly this one, but some of them have maintenance records that they'll help keep, or like they'll send an alert that says, hey, this truck's gonna need an oil change, hey, this truck, so it helps on more than just mapping it or seeing where they've been. It helps on all these other things that we can maybe get ahead of a maintenance issue before it's an issue, and save a lot of money on equipment. It can save a lot of money real fast. So.
Cool. That's exciting. All right. Well, when it comes in and we start using it, let me know and we'll take a picture or a video of like how it works. That would be fun.
The other thing that by going with this company, we'll be able to put it all on one dashboard. So when you go in to look, the way it is right now, we're logging from one site to another site to another site, and then trying to cross back and forth. And this will put it on one dashboard where you go in and look at it. You'll be able to, if you want to, you can see everything in the county at one time, which is, I think this is the same program that Lewis County REC uses. I went and looked at it. They obviously some advantage to them if they're out, and it would be the same advantage to us in a snow emergency. If we've got a machine out 2 o'clock in the morning and he won't answer the phone, or they won't answer, we don't know, we can't find him. We'll be able to locate that machine, and if we've got another machine, the operators will be able to see it as well as us. So if there's 2 operators out in the night and they can't find each other, they'll know exactly where that machine's at. They don't have to ask nobody. They can go to where that machine's at. Some of the other advantages is we had a claim on one of our rock trucks. It's been 2 years, but we had a claim on one of our rock trucks, and come to find out it wasn't our rock truck. So by this, as soon as we get something going, we'll be able to go and see what truck driver was there. If it was our truck, we'll know which one was there, we'll know what time, everything we'll be able to cross it out. If we go there and we didn't have equipment in that area, then we'll know it wasn't us.
Between this and your your newly acquired use of Google Docs, I'd say the story is increasing efficiency, taking steps towards increasing efficiency on the county level.
That's what I think we're trying to do. We're limited resource county to begin with, both financially and manpower, person power, so we have to try to do things as efficiently and the best we can to make our dollar stretch and make everything, we have 500 miles of gravel road that we have to maintain a year and $1 million budget, more or less, or something. And when you come in, like John and I are new, and coming in, you don't realize how much there really is. And so we're like, exactly, we're looking at any way we can to be more efficient, more economically efficient, more whatever it can be to be more efficient, more streamlined, and get the county up to there's a lot of things out there. It's 2025 and we're not there, so we're trying to get there,
and to be able to get our starting salaries up, we want to hire the best help we can hire, and we've got to get our starting salaries up. Well, if there's no money in the budget, you can't do that. If we can save money on fuel, or save money on rock, or save money on machines, then that frees that money up to work on bridges and personnel. And your people is what gets us done.
Are you talking about like road and bridge personnel, or are you just talking about countywide as far as offices?
It's countywide, but when you look at, when I got here, 8 of the 10 at the county barn was $15 an hour. And when you got to try to replace help for $15 an hour,
With the CDL requirement.
Yeah, or equipment operator, or that was priority 1. So anywhere we can save and make up, we can spend there and get quality work. You know, I talked amongst ourselves there the other day and said, you know, I was saying that I can always remember that when as a kid, when somebody said their parent worked for the county or worked for the city, well, that was a good job. And you looked at it as, man, that's a good job. I grew up a little poorer than that, or, you know, a little different than that. And when I looked at somebody as a younger and said, oh, man, they got the good life. Their dad works at the county and got a good job. And we want that to be like that again. That's the way it should be. You know what I mean? The county, we try, our people are our biggest asset we have. So we want to treat them as best we can. And unfortunately, in this day and age, the way people want to be treated the best is with financially. And so if you can give them as best pay as you can, along with, you know, working for the county, they get some vacation time on top of that with the holidays, and, you know, so we're trying to do as best we can to save, in essence, to give it back to the personnel so that we can.
So where are we at with starting pay level now, and where is it that you guys want to be?
$100 an hour is where I'd like to be. But we're at, I think, $17 or $18 an hour right now as beginning. But that depends on if you have a CDL, and it depends on what your qualifications are. But I think $17 or $18 an hour.
For starting?
But I also.
And then if you could have your, in a
that would be
perfect
with
world,
right
where
now.
would it be where do you think it should be?
Well, I believe that if you're at 18 as somebody that has zero experience, doesn't have a CDL license, just a general laborer that wants to come in and start at the county and learn, then that's where that's at. But for every year of service, or if you have a CDL, or if you've been running equipment for 10, 15 years, that should be going up substantially from there. And then that would give us the range to where somebody that didn't have experience, well, after 5 years being with the county, now they have experience, they've got their CDL, so then they can keep going up too. You know, in a perfect world, I'd love to see, you know, $25, $30 an hour for people. You know, that in the world we live in, I'm not to say that that's where we can be or that that's where it's at, but that, if you're telling me I have wide open, I'd love to see, that's where I'd like to see them at. You know, that seems to be more competitive in the marketplace, and you know, you can't get somebody to come drive a rock truck or run equipment for us for $18 an hour when they can go somewhere else in the county and start out at $25 doing the similar thing. So we have to be competitive, or we're not going to have any.
It's so hard because, at least that I've noticed in my tenure covering here, is the county and the city is a stepping stone. A lot of times we'll see guys start at the city and they'll gain some experience and they'll move into the county. And they'll gain more experience, they'll gain more certifications, and then they'll move into the state. Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of just been the route of, especially where road and bridge is concerned. Mm-hmm. What about the assistants in all of the offices? Because, you know, like, for example, in the prosecutor's office, his secretary needs to be at a paralegal level. You know what I mean? Or the circuit clerk's office, or, you know, the recorder's office. Like, these are, I would say, at a higher level than skilled positions, as far as, like, they need to have education. You know, the pay isn't ideal. In a lot of cases, we get a lot of retirees. Are you guys kind of keeping the offices in line the same way as far as, like, the pay scale?
Some, but for me, we don't have a lot of control over those offices. Those employees aren't employed by
the actual
this
official
office. Mm-hmm. They're employed by their office, you know, so they would need to look at their budget, and they would need to learn, you know, figure out, you know, some way. we would of course want to be working with them and, you know, every way we can, but ultimately, which you don't, not everybody knows that, or, you know, of course, I feel like I didn't know some of that when I came into this job, you know, that we don't have any say over the assessor's office employees, over their, we have a budgetary, at the beginning of the year, we all work through a budget, and after that, they're on their own, more or less, to stay in their budget, but to hire who they want, to be open when they want, to be closed when they want. You know, we don't set that for them. They do that on their own. But my opinion, I want to work with everybody in the courthouse always and try to do the betterment for everybody in the community. So
That reminds me, because it's interesting to see what's happened with the sheriff's office over the last few years, you know, where the state mandated uptake in sheriff pay, which was absolutely necessary, you know,
totally.
and then and how that kind of trickled down to from the sheriff to his staff to really attract that quality deputy that we have. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
I know he struggles. I know he's worked hard to try to figure out ways to do that and to get better. And
it just seems like an uphill battle, all of it.
for all of us, I believe we're all in that same boat, because in the end, we are only so big. We only have so much.
There's only so
money.
much.
Yeah, there's, you know, if we could make more, we
We
definitely
see that
would.
too.
You know, but
We see that in newspapers a lot. You know, there is a ceiling. You know, there's not. You know, there is
there's no endless
so much
supply,
money to be
right?
made. Right.
And with us competing, with it being proximity to Kirksville or Dare County, and Lewis County's a little bit bigger, you know, it's hard to compete that way too, because there's much more opportunities for people to work in Kirksville. That's, you know, this is what it is.
I think the biggest contrast that when I'm looking at it is the state. When you look at the county level and especially our rural communities, and then where the state's at, as far as like what MoDOT is hiring at, as opposed to any of the counties in our region, basically, or what the Highway Patrol is hiring at compared to any of the counties in our region. Like there's a huge gap.
We're competitive with MoDOT on salary. We're not equal to them, but we're competitive with them. The biggest thing that MoDOT has over us, or the way from what I know, is the insurance. They've got better insurance. We offer health insurance to our employees right now, and that, of course, with the way everything goes, if insurance doubles, then we'll have to figure out what we're going to do. We've been able to save a considerable amount of money on the insurance, and so we're paying 100% of the insurance. So
It's
that's
very
pretty good-
attractive.
But if you've got a spouse and 2 or 3 kids, and we're not paying any on those, my understanding is MoDOT pays on the family. So that's probably the biggest difference between us and MoDOT that I'm aware of, is the insurance, and I would suppose they have better retirement than what our retirement's not great. So,
Do we have retirement?
yeah.
We do?
Through the county,
I
yes.
didn't realize that we had retirement.
But I know a couple of the employees looked into it, and it's not a retirement. It's just for what you need to retire.
It's a supplement.
Yeah, it's a
Kind of
supplement.
a supplement
It's
to
not a
your
retirement.
Yeah.
To Social
So
Security.
Social
basically.
Security basically is what it would be.
Okay, we're coming up on a half hour, so I'm gonna cut it off
Okay.
so we don't have a monstrously long. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's try to do this more often. I'm hoping maybe at least once a month. And then if you have anything that comes up that you want to talk about, you just let me know. All right, I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down for now. I'm Echo Menges for the Edina Sentinel. We're with the Knox County Commission. It is Friday, October 3rd, 2025, and this video will be posted to the Edina Sentinel YouTube channel, and I will hopefully get a story written for this coming newspaper.